From the Ministry of the Presidency in Georgetown, this is This Week with the President, with Janelle Carter.
Welcome to another edition of This Week with the President, a weekly news magazine which provides you with an in-depth look at the policies, programs, and work of the President of Guyana in his quest to realize the good life for all Guyanese. I'm your host, Janelle Carter. In the news this week, His Excellency Brigadier Granger announced Total National Defense Policy. MP salary increases described as investment in efficiency, quality, and good governance. And the President calls for a focus on science and technology in the education system. Those stories and more. Stay with us. In light of continued territorial threats from both Venezuela and Suriname, Brigadier Granger has outlined a total national defense policy, which he says has all the elements of instruments of national power needed to protect Guyana's territory. From time immemorial, Guyana has sovereignty and has consistently been threatened by the two countries, and this in many ways has hampered the country's development.
So, officers, Guyana is in a state of permanent engagement in these contrived controversies. Controversies which were invented by Venezuela and Suriname only at the onset of Guyana's independence. To survive, therefore, Guyana must plan permanently to be in a state of total national defense. It has not gone away. The claims have not gone away in 50 years, and they will not go away in the next 50 months. Regardless if I speak to Maduro, or Bouterse, or Ban Ki-moon, the claims will not go away in the next 50 months. That is why we need to pursue a juridical settlement, so that the claims could be removed by the courts.
The Total National Defense Policy, upon implementation, will give regular and reserve forces the resources they need over the next 5 years to perform their mission. As such, the new policy will place great focus on the reorganization and strengthening of the Guyana Defense Force on 5 pillars, which emphasize on Air Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Engineer Corps. Brigadier Granger outlined these to the force, noting that Guyana's sovereignty must not be taken for granted.
That policy must be based on 5 pillars. First and foremost is personnel. The force must be brought up to the authorized establishment strength to meet the current and unforeseen challenges. A study will be done to examine exactly how the regular force could be augmented. And as you will hear later, the reserve force must be reconstituted, and it must be maintained. And this is not a suggestion, it's not a hint, it's not a clue, it's not a request. The reserve force must be brought up to 50% of the regular strength.
The policy will also see the re-establishment of the People's Militia as a credible reserve in all 10 regions, and the National Cadet Corps to allow boys and girls between the ages of 12 and 18 years in secondary school to pursue part-time training. Further, a Civil Defense Corps will be established to support the work of the Civil Defense Commission in responding to and managing disasters.
Troops are not to be deployed on the streets and villages without the explicit permission of the Minister of Defense or the Guyana Defense Board. The force should operate alongside or in support of the police, not in front, when becoming involved in internal security disturbances. Operations in future should have a clear and carefully defined mission. Troops, once their specific mission has been accomplished, should return to barracks. They must not become part of the rural landscape. The business of public order and everyday law enforcement, such as catching crooks, is a police task and should remain so.
Meanwhile, on Friday, the President's presence at the Inter-Service Annual Athletics Championship added to the excitement as ranks of the joint services engaged in friendly but fierce competition against each other. The event was held at the National Track and Field Center at Leonora on the west coast of Demerara.
ISAC 2015 offers us another opportunity to demonstrate the essence of teamwork as we represent and cheer on our athletes from the different services in the various track and field events listed on our program for today.
The administration recognizes the role education can play in eradicating poverty and fast-tracking economic development in Guyana. It is for this reason the sector has been receiving significant resources from central government. It is no secret that the fields of science and technology are rapidly expanding and changing the world, and this must be taken into account as the government crafts policies to boost the sector. The president expressed these views as he delivered a charge to the Saraswati Vidya Nikatan Secondary School graduating class of 2015.
A colonial government was able to create an educated scientific elite by putting in front of students the resources, the laboratories. This is something we have to do at the University of Guyana and in all secondary schools throughout the country if we are to become, as the Swamiji says, a really developed nation. It's good to study history, good to study poetry, but it's more important if you want to develop this country for us to produce scientists, technologists, engineers, and mathematicians.
President Granger has also referred to Guyana as a country of bright prospects, but also one of colossal complexity, with a field of unprecedented opportunities ahead. While speaking of the possibilities in the technically skilled areas, the president said, there is opportunity for engineers to build bridges and roads that will open Guyana's vast hinterland and develop schemes to exploit hydroelectrical potential. The Saraswati Vidya Nikatan Secondary School, or SVN, is a privately run institution in Region 3. It continues to produce outstanding performances and this year captured the top 2 spots in the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate Examination. The 2005 top student, Victoria Najab, gained 21 Grade 1 passes, counting her double award in agricultural science, while runner-up Vamandev Hirilal gained 19 Grade 1s and a Grade 2. Najab received the President's Award for Best Graduating Student. She will also be presented with a further $100,000 to assist with her Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE studies.
Shakespeare said that some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. In life, we can't always count on being born great or having it thrust upon us. But always remember that the opportunity to achieve greatness is forever within our grasp. Today, we are not only celebrating our own success, but we are marking a great achievement for our country. We are the children of this nation, and our efforts are Guyana's fortune, and our accomplishments are Guyana's triumph.
In less than a decade, the SVN has become a household name throughout not only Guyana but the Caribbean by producing some of the country's best performers at CSEC and CAPE.
Over 12,600 students wrote the CSEC exam this year. Of these, 47 students, that is 0.37%, passed the exam with 11 Grade 1s and more. And of these 47 students, there were 11 SVN students, making up a total of 23% from that group.
While at the national level and in the region, the pass rate at English and math are around 50%, SVN has consistently produced the highest pass rate, with English at 86% and maths at 92%.
The school has been a major part. It's changed my entire view towards education as a whole. I see education as a duty, but now I see it as more of a privilege. Taught me various forms, the importance of discipline in education, humility, respect, the importance of having a clean environment. All of these complement my pursuit of education greatly, and I guess that's what led me obtaining such good grades.
The principal spoke of the hard work of teachers who worked with students, some of whom entered the school with average marks at the National Grade 6 assessment. 14 students with marks in the low 400s at the NGSA graduated with 12 subjects or more at CSEC from the institution.
CXC wasn't that easy. We went through a lot, and it wasn't quite easy staying up late of nights, but I guess you guys should not give up to write. And my advice to students out there, those of you who are going to write CXC soon, those of you who are struggling right now, and I would like to say that you guys should not give up. CXC, it sounds hard. There's a lot of work to it, but at the end, you will benefit from it.
I came with common entrance results, 403 marks, and with such a average mark and students that was like at the top of the class, I had to try to focus in class and to pay keen attention to the teachers, ask questions, and my advice to students now that don't sit with questions like if you don't understand something, you ask the teacher, because if you sit and don't ask, you will never get to learn or get to find the answer to the question.
This year, 62 students from SVN sat the CSEC examination, while 7 sat at the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE. The government's decision to increase salaries of the Prime Minister, ministers, and members of Parliament has been described as a difficult decision by Brigadier Granger, but one that was necessary to ensure a strong and effective cabinet that can do the hard work that is necessary to support the development of Guyana.
As far as the salaries were concerned, a decision was taken. We had to make some choices, and the choices were made in order to assure the public of the efficiency and the commitment of the ministers, and I think that has been done. I am aware of the criticism, but we had to make choices, and the choice was made in favor of having a stronger cabinet.
On Friday, October 16th, on the public interest, Brigadier Granger said that while the decision was difficult, Guyanese can be assured that the increases were given with the best interests of the country at heart, and described the move as an investment in efficiency, quality, and good governance.
It was a difficult choice in the first place. It is not something we made recklessly. We had to consider all of the options, and in the final analysis we felt that this was a means of ensuring that the work of the cabinet, the work of the coalition would continue. I must point out that many of the members of the cabinet were professionals, some came from private enterprise, and we felt that we had to make a sacrifice to get the best quality persons.
While the criticisms continue to mount, Brigadier Granger said that he is confident that in time Guyanese will see the merits regularizing and upgrading the income of the country's senior officials.
What we did is not the ultimate solution. Some of them are getting much less than they might have gotten in private life, but we are trying to ensure that the coalition cabinet is such that there's a high level of efficiency. And we felt that this is the cost of having a coalition, this is the cost of having a cabinet of persons who are committed to the development of this country. I would even say that the changes have been an investment in quality governance. And I believe that in time to come, evidence will emerge that we made the correct decision.
Brigadier Granger noted that it is now his job to ensure that his cabinet does the work that is necessary to bring about transformative changes in Guyana. He also urged all Guyanese to continue to hold their leaders' feet to the fire to ensure that they serve the country well. The importance of food security in a country can never be taken for granted. The availability of affordable food translates to a healthy population and a reduction in hunger and poverty. Guyana has achieved this status, and with the recent adoption of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the country has pledged to further improve this status. On October 16, Guyana joined the rest of the world in observance of World Food Day under the theme Social Protection and Agriculture Breaking the Cycle of Rural Poverty. The president delivered the feature address at the event held at the IFLOT Community Center to mark the occasion.
The motto of this year's World Food Day observance is social protection and agriculture. You heard a lot about social protection, but now we have to break the cycle of rural poverty. Our government is determined to ensure greater food security, and in so doing, we must produce food in greater quantities. We must protect society from hunger. We must promote better nutrition and health. We must provide employment in rural and hinterland areas for our young people.
Recognizing that there are still pockets of food insecurity, more so in the hinterland, the president called on the Minister of Agriculture to ensure that agriculture institutes are established in all of the hinterland regions to provide the necessary training for youth when they leave school. This is intended to ensure that they will be more equipped to remain competitive in a sector that is rapidly changing with technology.
Food security is necessary, but it is not sufficient a condition to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Increased agricultural productivity, according to the FAO, benefits the poor. It benefits the poor by reducing the price of food. It benefits the poor by increasing incomes for the poor. It benefits the poor by stimulating greater demand in agricultural areas where most of the world's poor live.
With the country currently bracing itself for a prolonged dry spell, the issue of climate change and its devastating effects are posing severe challenges for farming communities.
Climate change is a real living threat for our people, especially since the narrow strip of land that has the administrative, agricultural, commercial, and industrial center of this dear land is 1.4 meters below the high tide mark and is home to almost 90% of the population. With increased occurrences of floods and droughts, like we saw in June, and the present El Nino, it is clear that we need an alternative plan. This is why my desire for agricultural development involves moving away from the low coastal plain, more inland to the intermediate savannas and Rupnoni savannas. Hinterland development is a priority for our government.
The thrust of this year's theme calls into action the Social Protection Ministry, and Minister Walter Lawrence, who heads that ministry, spoke of the need for a reduction in the region's food import bill so that the resources can be directed to other critical areas to improve the living standards of citizens. October 16 was designated World Food Day by the United Nations to raise awareness on the issue of hunger internationally. Thank you for staying with us. What does the president do all week? Let's take a look inside his diary. On October 12th, President Granger met with Guyana's Miss World hopeful Lisa Punch, who will be representing Guyana at the 65th edition of the Miss World pageant to be held in December in China. The singer-turned-beauty queen has chosen to tackle the issue of suicide prevention as part of her Beauty with a Purpose project, which she will be taking to the Miss World stage. The campaign Prevention of Teenage Suicide aims to raise awareness on the issue of suicide among Guyanese and to empower them to inculcate coping mechanisms to deal with the problems they may encounter. Later that day, the president met with a group of differently abled persons at the Ministry of the Presidency, where discussions were held on a number of issues affecting them. On Thursday, President Granger met with members of the Pan-African Movement of Guyana, followed by United States Ambassador to Guyana, His Excellency Perry Holloway. During that meeting, the ambassador pledged the U.S. commitment towards strengthening ties. The ambassador said that the U.S. will be working closely with Guyana in areas including crime and security and counter-narcotics solutions. Also, the president was paid a courtesy call by European Ambassador to Guyana, His Excellency Gernot Videtek. This was the first formal meeting the ambassador had with the president since his appointment on September 9th. That brings us to the end of this edition of This Week with the President. Thank you for joining me. For regular updates on the Ministry of the Presidency, go to our website www.motp.gov.gy. Like our Facebook page, Ministry of the Presidency, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MOTP Guyana. I'm Janelle Carter. Do have a safe and productive week ahead. Goodbye.